Hey everybody, welcome to the Late Late Horror Show.
Hey Gru, welcome back.
It's been a little bit of time here since Halloween. We had a little bit of time off.
We did our King Kong show, and a lot of you seem to like that one. I'm pretty pleased.
Yeah.
Nobody telling me that, it's an old movie and I won't watch it. So.
But what are we doing? We're starting a Hammer horror series.
Yes.
Starting with Curse of Frankenstein, 1957.
Yeah.
Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee. First time they met, became friends all the way up until 1994.
Oh, now they were in movies before that together.
But
this is the first film where they shared scenes.
Okay.
But they were in a few films together, but not in the same scenes.
Okay.
So I think they knew each other, but yes, they would develop a lifelong friendship.
Well, we'll be talking about all this stuff and more right after these messages. Oh, I mean,
what? Like what? We got commercials?
We got commercials now. Commercial straight. No. I just update you guys everything that's going on here with the channel too. And we got a lot to talk about. Curse of the Frankenstein, a Hammer horror. So stick around. We got plenty of good stuff. Our take on the original and Hammer, totally lots of info. But what we're doing from now on, this show will be every other week. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be every week because we are starting up another YouTube channel.
Yes.
Has nothing to do with horror, but it's got both of us. Different set. It's called May Contain Nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be covering, and it'll be shorter. It'll be roughly 30-minute shows each. We'll probably do one a week for that show since they're shorter.
One or two shorts, I think we were talking.
Laurel and Hardy, Three Stooges, Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, Marx Brothers, Little Rascals.
Costello.
We will get to all.
They're all saying who?
Oh, no, they gotta all know those figures. But the majority of our content is going to be Laurel and Hardy at the start.
Yes, we are so in love with the boys, and
yes,
I just grew up watching them, and this is what we. I'm surprised we didn't start doing this before, but
I
cool.
Got caught up in the horror community, and I still love it. That's why this is never going anywhere. We love it. It's just going to be every other week.
It's just because I've only got kind of like Monday nights are like the only nights I have free where I can do this. So,
but you know what? You will be getting additional content. I think Danny Devil will be making appearances on the weeks off.
I'm excited about
like when we don't got the podcast like this. This week we got Curse of Frankenstein Hammer Horror. And next week, you may get a little trailer reaction or review by Danny Devil, the puppet. If you don't know who he is. He's a really cool character. A lot of people dig him.
Dig him.
I haven't been able to do it much, but there's a lot of different things going on right now. So that will be, it'll be alternating that. Mm-hmm. So we'll still be on iTunes. We're everywhere still. It's just every other week. So, we
have a new show. Come check out the new show. To be shorter.
May contain nuts.
Yeah, different set, different props.
Will be a lot more...
A little bit more relaxed, I think.
And hilarious. Not that we're
a lot
not
more
already.
laughing.
Yeah, a lot more laughing. And you'll have us...
We love doing comedies.
Getting up on the set over there and running around and doing our tiptoe ballet dance. Whatever, I don't know. You'll see some funny stuff. But nevertheless, there you go. Subscribe to this channel. Like us. Check out our Facebook pages and all that too, and all that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Are we still on MySpace?
Little shout out to Death Twitch. Check out that horror channel.
We're in all the chat rooms.
Spooky Astronauts, yeah. But anyways, we're in all the chat rooms. Ted's nowhere. But nevertheless, hey, we did 17 minutes of stuff even before we started this.
That's right.
I think I'm going.
That's like a show's worth.
I'm going to put up some pre-show stuff. We were talking about
that's,
Suicide Squad and all that.
That's like what other people put up, and that's a show for them. We're just shooting the shit, and that's a show.
Yeah. Before I even started this, hey, let start. We did about 17 minutes, and I could probably get about 3 Suicide Squad reviews in on that because that's what we were talking about. DC, some stuff like that. But anyways, nevertheless, let's get to our horror stuff.
Oh God, yes.
Hammer horror is an entity of itself, like Universal was, right?
Right.
Ted is the big. He's the bigger Hammer, and he's got me into it, and I'm in the mood. I'm rolling right now with Hammer horror. Why do I got glasses on? Because I got a migraine, and it's helping. Somebody said put some sunglasses. And if you hear the water coming through the pipes,
that's like, my old man taking a leak again.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we got the boiler. Okay, so it runs through the house, and it's just a little bit of air in the pipes, and
it just adds to the atmosphere. We actually need like a physical drip to come down here, make it like a dank dungeon.
It's not like a drip. It's through the pipe.
I know. It's in the walls.
Maybe I can put a pipe above those with it dripping or something like that. But.
So we get to Hammer horror. Hammer started off as started back in the 30s. They did noir films, thrillers, mysteries.
Way different than.
And in the 1950s, horror had started with Universal. Their run on horror
late 40s horror started to die.
Its thing,
Yeah.
You had the Creature from the Black Lagoon films in the 50s, and it kind of just petered out for just a few years there, and then the science fiction stuff started getting popular.
Exactly.
And Hammer can really be thanked for rejuvenating the horror
yes, this movie
genre for another 25 years.
Yeah, this
from the late 50s to the mid 80s, because they got into some television in the mid 80s with Hammer's House of Horrors.
Yeah. Which we probably can't find, can we?
Hammer House of Horrors?
Can you?
Yeah. Oh, it's been on DVD and stuff. It's preserved.
How do I know?
It's like an anthology series. You could compare it to,
Alfred
Twilight Zone-ish, Alfred Hitchcock.
Let me move around
with a little bit
get
more
in position.
Of a horror. Peter Cushing was in the very first episode. Each episode
vodka
is either one or two stories.
Or water.
Yeah. But, so they wanted to get in on the horror, and they amped it up a little bit. Color. This will be the first Frankenstein film in color. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say the word gore, but it's not going to mean anything to a lot of younger people, because you're going to watch this film and you're going to say there's no gore in this film. But yes, there is. And matter of fact, they even had to cut a couple things out.
Yes.
Because it was just too much for a 1957 audience, evidently.
Yeah, you got to remember times were different back then.
Right.
And
for
just
1957,
just to show blood.
New. Just to show blood.
Deal.
Exactly, to show blood.
Just like back in the 30s, with King Kong last week, or a couple weeks ago when we did.
All the cuts that came out of King Kong that are
and
finally back in.
And we're like, why was that cut?
Because someone who had some power
and
a pair of scissors made the decision. So, and with Hammer, you got other horror studio like AIP, American International Pictures.
Right.
You had a lot of anthology films, a lot of Vincent Price films from there.
Dino De Laurentiis, who did Conan.
There you go.
Has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
But I mean, a lot of Roger Corman films, things like that.
Well, right. It was a whole evolution of Hollywood
and then it rejuvenated the genre, gave it a shot in the arm, so to speak.
Yes.
And so
shot in the arm, so to speak.
Hammer wanted to get in on the Universal type monsters. They had the rights, Universal had the rights to the makeups, to the looks. They didn't have the rights to the stories because you can
Mary Shelley,
right? You can do a Frankenstein film, but what
Victor von Frankenstein?
But what and as they started writing their story, Curse of Frankenstein, they were specifically told by Universal, you cannot use our makeup effects. That's copyrighted. It's ours. We own it. You can't use the style of makeup as Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So
because it's the image and the style that we're used to.
It's not until almost an hour into the movie, but they're gonna. I think in a way it's not as iconic as Boris Karloff's makeup, but damn if it isn't really good and a close second.
Well, I'll tell you that I think it is in its own way.
Probably closer to what it really would have been if the story was real. And
just like we said, there's two different time periods we're speaking about here. Two different separate horror, atmosphere.
Opposite sides of the world.
Exactly. And whereas the makeup was great for the original, Boris Karloff, it was also black and white. And the imperfections and stuff like that. Whereas, if it was color, you would see greens. It just was perfect for black and white.
Right.
Top notch. This, little bit different. It was 57. It looks like a lot of the makeup effect in the late 60s, early 70s horror.
I'm sure it had to be very influential to people that would come later, the Tom Savinis and Rick Bakers and all that, watching these films.
And I think the makeup job on this, makes him kind of iconic. I think when you think of Hammer Frankenstein, this is what you think of.
A few things more to say about Hammer Horror before we dive into the movie, because the movie goes at a pretty good clip, and we'll be talking about it as it goes. But the reason why...
those toppers. Oh, what?
If I had to pick, I don't know why. I grew up watching both of these. Okay. Watching the Hammer Horrors on Superhost and watching the Universals when they would be on like Channel 43 at Halloween time. And for some reason, the Hammers stick with me more. They stay in my mind a little bit more than the Universal. I love them both, but I think I edge on the side of the Brits on this one with the Hammer films.
No.
Well, I love Peter Cushing. I love Christopher Lee.
And see, this is where I think we are like
a little different here.
Well, because I think it ingrained in your head. Yeah. You love that horror genre.
Something got me
in that period.
As far as horror goes,
I love
these are my favorite horror films. The Hammer horror films, especially the Frankenstein series. I love most of the Dracula series. A couple of the Mummy movies are great. There's some other vampire films that aren't related. They did everything. They did all kinds of films. They did a werewolf movie. They did Phantom of the Opera. They did
they hit them
zombie.
All, yeah.
Well, sort of like not zombies as we flesh-eating zombies, but they did zombie films. They did caveman dinosaur movies with Ray Harryhausen special effects. They did it all, and for some reason, I don't know. I know I can definitely tell you what got me into it, because I watched Star Wars as a kid. It was a defining moment in my life.
Yeah,
Peter Cushing's in that film.
Right.
I would see Curse of Frankenstein. There's Peter Cushing. I just, it's like, oh, that's the guy from Star Wars. Now I want to watch this. Mm-hmm. And then it led me to the next one, the next one, the next one, and it's just one of those things. I still love them as much now. They're very gothic. They don't look cheap. They reused a lot of the sets in a lot of the movies, but they don't look cheap. They look pretty good. Beautiful women in all the movies. That was like one of the things they're known for. There's even a great book, Hammer Glamour, which is just pictures of all the actresses that were...
Which is, because a lot of their stuff is Victorian era type, that gothic look. And
I love that.
They're always pushed up in those little dresses and
but you know what? I
corsets,
like that style of dress for women. It leaves a little something to imagination. It's elegant.
It's funny, too. Like
way better than the way the sluts dress today.
Well, I mean...
I like
it was a different style. No, you're like me.
I would have rather been back then. Less complicated.
You like that. Mm-hmm. Fay Ray?
Yeah.
1930s, 40s? That's what I'm talking about. I think the beauty of the women back then and the way they dress, the style, they're...
Absolutely.
I mean, and you love the bosomy, gothic, Hammer, chicks of the late 60s, 70s.
I did curves.
Yeah.
Bones hurt. I did curves. I like cushion.
But yeah, it's funny how we're, you're a Hammer guy, I'm a Universal guy, even though we're both, you know what I'm saying? But we kind of weigh even and level each other out.
If you put me on Desert Island and say you can only watch one, you can either watch Universals or Hammers, I'd probably pick the Hammers. But it would be with heavy heart.
No, exactly. No, I know, yeah.
But I will say that the Hammer characters aren't as iconic as the Universals. And without the Universals, there wouldn't have been the Hammers.
No, exactly.
So this was their first outing in horror, 1957.
And I love the very, very beginning opening scene here.
Mountains.
Yeah, and you see that horse going up in the backdrop that's painted.
You can see the town, even though I think it's a painting.
It is.
It's a town way up high, and you just get the feeling that you are in Switzerland. And all these films take place in like Romania, Switzerland.
Yes.
Places you've never even heard of before. That all these Eastern European countries.
Mm-hmm. And the Gothic appearance to everything.
I
everything's brick and stone, Gothic styled. I mean, it's just beautiful.
And the way that they shot these, because they would reuse the sets. I mean, there's so many corners and things. You could rearrange these sets, put them in different. You could shoot a bunch of movies and never realize you're using the same sets.
Exactly. Hammer Horror was the first studio to use a Lego type setup. Mm-hmm.
They
everything was interchangeable.
Break it down, and use it for the next movie, because there was always another project coming kind of
a lot of
they
the
were kind of
Universals
like the
through-
full
through-
moon of the 50s and 60s, you know?
Yeah.
Next project.
Well, a lot of the older movies threw their stuff away.
Right.
You know, a lot. They didn't think they didn't know that there would be a collectible,
Right.
you know, group of people weren't. What am I trying to say?
Collectibles, you know?
They didn't really know.
Who would want this stuff 40 years from now?
Right. Who's going to collect this
Who
stuff?
wants a door from Curse of Frankenstein?
Exactly. Yes.
Holla!
Hell yeah. I put that, you know, and people do that. They got it on their house, their bedroom door, whatever. But anyways, where are we at?
This is a priest
Yes.
who's been brought in. He's
opening
He's the one who's
Curse of
riding the
Frankenstein.
horse. And he comes to looks like it's a jail, a prison. And
wait to hear us.
The turnkey's letting him in. Saying, he's in here, governor.
He's in here, governor.
Or padre, or whatever they were calling him.
And please stick around and listen to. We got a lot of differences on the difference between Victor Frankenstein from the original to this. I got a lot to say about it. But anyways,
yeah, I mean, because neither one of them really follows Mary Shelley's story.
Right, and we'll get into that. I just
they both
stick
have
around
similarities
and listen
in the way that they bring the creature to life using electricity.
Yes,
galvanism is a little bit in here too.
Different ways though.
But still very different takes on the same story.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could watch both these movies, and they're both like two totally different movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right. Whereas a lot of movies, you would think, if you're thinking another adaptation of Frankenstein,
right?
What am I going to see different? You know, totally different take. Totally,
I would say 98% different than.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A couple of scenes, a couple of ideas are still
and I think you said, I mean, there's a reason behind it because Universal had the rights to the... So, like, it's not the monster, it's the creature.
Right.
And, the makeup and all that. So, yeah, there's differences totally in this.
Right.
But
so, the priest has been brought in. Mm-hmm. He thinks to hear a confession from Dr. Frankenstein, who's locked up in this cell. Mm-hmm. Peter Cushing, after Vincent Price, my next favorite actor. I love... Again, another actor like Tim Curry, who's been in Blood. Yes, fantastic. I just got the Blu-ray not too long ago.
Oh, okay.
It's lovely.
Maybe after these.
And it's not so much that he wants to confess. He's not looking for any kind of spiritual solace. He just wants to tell his story.
Yeah, because people don't... I want to speak out right here. Okay, see off to the right? See that cross is actually etched in that stone.
Yes.
See it?
Yes.
I noticed that through the whole movie. I don't know why that stood out to me, but it's actually a cross etched out in the stone. So whoever made that set put that crucifix, right there in that.
Somebody might have been in that cell and just
cut that down.
Little details.
But there's details in this movie I had to point out.
Yeah. And Dr. Frankenstein, Dr. Victor Frankenstein, he says, people trust you. People believe you. I just want to tell you my story. And the priest is even saying, he's like, if you think I can say anything to the judge to change the fact that he's going to be executed. Let's put it, we don't necessarily know all the details why yet, which we will. But, and he gets a little hot. At first, he almost grabs him by the throat because the priest is going to leave. And he's so icy. He's just like, take your hands off.
Oh, yeah. He's
And he's like, I'm sorry. And he's so proper. I won't forget myself again. He offers him a seat. I want to tell you my story. And you can even hear a little snippet. It's on a Rob Zombie song somewhere. Perhaps you better start at the beginning.
And things to come with what I'm going to talk about in a few here.
And I like that style.
About Victor Frankenstein.
Where he's in the jail cell. That gets you intrigued in the story. What happened? How did he get there?
How did he get there?
It's just a storytelling device, but it's cool. It gets you into the story. How did this all happen? Then it goes back to him being a teenager.
Totally young little kid who seems to be very snobby.
Comes from wealth.
Yeah.
His father had died 10 years before. He was the Baron Frankenstein since he was 5 years old.
I am the Baron. And he's basically telling
his mother died. His mother died, so everyone's...
still wants their money. Like the aunt comes there and says, "You're still going." And I have to tell you about the top hat.
Oh wait! Before we do though,
okay. But I love that top hat.
He gives the aunt like an allowance every month.
Yes.
Basically, he pays for them to pays their living expenses.
Yes, and that's Elizabeth.
Right.
That's
the little girl.
Yes.
That is actually the actress who is going to play Elizabeth as an older. As an
this
adult is Hazel
daughter.
Court. That was her daughter
Hazel
in real
Court.
life.
Yep.
Hazel Court, very, very I thought she was pretty foxy. And she's in some Vincent Price films. She was in Mask of the Red Death that we did way back when.
Yeah.
She was in that film.
Mm-hmm. I think we talked a lot about the... Yeah, during that too. But yeah, that's going to come back later in the movie with Elizabeth and all that when she grows up. Because
and you can just tell he wants everybody out of that damn house. Like, just get out. Just get out. I don't care. Leave me alone.
Exactly. Which is, the dude's just a snobby little kid who, rich brat.
He's singular. What we're going to find is he's very singular-minded. As the aunt is leaving, we see a gentleman in a top hat. Yeah. Now you can go on your... something cool about top hats.
No, I love top hats. But who is this? This is Paul Krempe, who is going to be his partner.
First to start off as a tutor.
Yes.
His teacher, and then will later become his partner. But it's kind of funny that Paul is under the impression that this young man's father has been writing to him and is employing him, when really it's been Victor the whole time who's been looking for a teacher for himself.
Yes.
And he's like, I'm the one who wrote you all those letters, and do you want the job or not? He's like, I like you could tell the immaturity there because he's like, well, I don't see what difference that makes. I am quite rich,
Yeah. And then they start going over because he does become his tutor.
Yeah,
and
a little
teacher.
montage here of
and
Paul being the teacher at the blackboard.
Yes.
And then what does he say? Like within 2 years, Paul taught him everything that he knew.
Yeah.
And then it flips.
Led into like the medical side of it and science.
Then it's Victor at the board teaching Paul about electricity.
Mm-hmm. Because evidently, after his parents died, he didn't have a social life, and he pretty much did everything himself.
He's very interested in science, and as their studies progressed, became... Victor Frankenstein is just a story of obsession. And
I want to talk about Victor, his character played by Peter Cushing, as opposed to... who played him in the original Colin Clive in the original Universal.
Right.
The differences, and I'm sure you'll probably agree with me, in the Universal, the original, Victor Frankenstein was kind of a...
He wasn't Victor. What was his name in it? It wasn't...
Right.
I forgot. It wasn't Victor, but Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah, Dr. Frankenstein. Same character. But he was more...
Henry. It was Henry.
Henry, that's right. But he was more of a out-of-control, mad, maniacal scientist.
A little bit of that was in there for sure.
Even though he was very intelligent still, and he had a mission, he was maniacal to his, let's bring life to this, let's bring life from the dead. Whereas Peter Cushing's character, in the Hammer horror, at least in this movie, because I haven't seen the other ones, he is more along the lines of, he doesn't know he's doing anything wrong. He's thinking one thing, and he wants to get to that.
Right. And everything is a means to an end to achieve that, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Exactly. That's the point I'm getting. He
grave robbing.
He's not maniacal.
Right. Until he crosses a line later on in the film when it comes with the brain. But he hasn't done that yet. Right.
And even then, you just get a little bit of that sense of that madman, where
he will become definitely colder as the films progress.
Yes.
Less scrupulous.
But most of this movie, he looks at Paul and he goes... what is wrong? I'm not killing anybody.
Right.
He's
not using these eyes.
I'm creating life. Whereas he doesn't understand that you're creating something that shouldn't be living. You're creating a monster. Why create something that is not going to... First of all, that looks like a monster. You know what I'm saying?
There is a course of events that happens later in the film where Paul is sort of to blame for a couple of things.
Yeah.
And you wonder how it would have turned out if those things hadn't happened.
No. True. Very true. And we'll talk about that when we get to... And this is very...
This is a cool scene. This is where the lab...
Well, a lot of animal rights would be on about this part of the movie. No. There's a little dog in that aquarium.
They bring it back to life. They help the dog.
But it's a real dog.
Well, in part of the scene. But it's the lab, and much like the original Frankenstein, lots of test tubes and electricity.
Oh, whereas
in the book, there's no electricity mentioned, really.
Right.
But you can tell they're using some sort of static electricity, that fan that sort of goes around. It's creating a static charge.
Yeah.
And what they have here is in a vat of a fluid. Could be amniotic fluid, could be water.
It's dirty bath water.
Dirty bath water.
We'll come to
Gwen
find that out.
Stefani's old bath water.
Ooh.
I'm just kidding. I mean, they had that song. I love
B-A-N-A-N.
No doubt had that song about
please.
bath water.
I didn't. Yeah, okay. And it's funny, the dog becomes part of the...
It's a dead puppy.
Yeah.
And it's hooked up to various, electrodes inside there. They run the electricity. And basically, once it's all drained out and everything, and he wipes away some of the fluid, pouring some water on it, he's brought the puppy back to life. It's perfectly normal. The next scene, they show him playing with it. They've done it.
Yeah, he's running around the room.
They've resurrected something that was dead.
They never mention or show the dog again, though.
No, that's true.
And it's quite strange.
You think?
Well, yeah, you bring the dog back to life. That's the first spark that you ever created.
Right.
Life. And it's kind of just running, and they just forget about it.
Because the movie goes in a different direction.
I would at least like a Michael Myers scene or something, and he should jump out a window and disappear.
All right. And be halfway to Toluca,
Or have him go, or have Victor go, open the door, Peter Cushing open the door and go, "You are free! Live your life to the fullest!"
The dog. You're worried about the damn dog.
And then close the door. Well, think about it.
I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't pay it much mind, because the conversation that follows, they're in the parlor and they're talking about their success. Paul's very anxious. He's like, the medical convention committee, whatever, meets next month. We should have our paper, our notes.
Everything ready to,
let's tell the world about our discovery. And,
yes!
And we never get many details about how they actually did it.
No, we don't.
And in the book, you don't get that either. That's left to your imagination.
Right.
And
which is cool.
Victor is steadfastly, because Paul's like, imagine, for surgery and medicine and the things that this life-saving technique can do now. Imagine how many lives will be saved.
And Victor's like...
Victor sees beyond that.
Yes.
He's seeing that as he describes it, we've just opened the door. Now it's time to not just walk through that door, but to run through that door. And we can take the knowledge that we have gained.
Is so intent on
I'm so passionate about these films. I love them dearly. And, we can create life from parts. He's like, we've done the whole, now let's do the parts.
Ooh, that's what she said.
And there'll be other movies where he'll have, eyes hooked up to electric, and the eyes are just looking around like an eyes in a brain floating in a tank looking around.
See, I gotta watch. I can't wait to get to the next series here. Or next movie.
Taking the brain of a person, putting it in another person, and it really some advanced stuff.
And when we get to those parts too, I have some stuff to talk about.
And some things that we were talking about before the show, and when I was just doing a little bit of research on
Suicide
the film.
Squad.
And I actually saw it on
Goodbye, dog.
Wiki or IMDb somewhere that someone else also mentioned it. What I really like is how in the Universal films, the Frankenstein series, it's the monster that's the constant in all the films. It's always the monster in the movie. The doctor's different. In the Hammer films, it's Peter Cushing, except in one film where they tried to reboot it with Ralph Bates, and it's horrible. Don't watch it. It's one of the bad ones. It's Dr. Frankenstein who's the main character throughout the series, and the monsters or the people that he's working on, his wife changes. Yeah. And I like that. He's such a fantastic actor. And
we're going to get to...
If he's in a film, if Christopher Lee's in a film, and if Terrence Fisher is directing it, you got something pretty good.
Heck yeah.
You got a watchable movie right there that you can kick back with.
Even though they couldn't copy directly the Universal, I do like in this scene right here you're seeing, where Peter Cushing, Victor, climbs... I always call them by their real actor's name, but
it's all right.
They're going up to get a cadaver that was just hung, and he climbs up to the top of it, just like Dwight Fry did in the original Frankenstein, and cut down the body. And
they were smart enough to bring a ladder.
And put
and
the cart right underneath it so it would fall right in.
Right.
So
he says, there was a because he's telling Paul before they cut the body down. I was like, his idea was to go get this highwayman that got hung a week ago. It's like, it's still there. Nobody watching.
And so, and they're there. Paul, uncovers it and goes, "Well, the birds got to him because
the face is a mess."
And he goes, "I could fix that after surgery."
Yeah, he just grabs a nice sharp scalpel, and obviously they don't show him cutting the head, but Paul's, what are you doing? He's like, well, cutting off the head. It's no use to me anyway. I mean, like nothing.
No, yeah.
It doesn't bother him in the slightest. It's a piece of meat. But what he wanted was the framework. The framework of the body. His idea is, give him, a great head, a great brain, an artist's hands, Yeah. The parts.
So he was going to, he did want to put everything together.
Nothing about blood typing and things like that. Making sure there's
like
no
here where he
rejection.
just cuts the head off. I mean,
he wraps it in burlap. And there is a scene. I think I gave you a
not a lot
picture.
of blood, but
he's just wiping the blood.
But it's been dead for a while, and
And this is their lab, which is up in the like
upstairs,
the attic, the top towers of the mansion. And like what every good home needs to have is a big pit of acid.
He's in castle.
Here we go. Look at this.
Frankenstein's castle.
But I'm talking about the acid.
No, I know. That's
every house needs a big pit of sulfuric acid. And he takes the head, and you can hear him putting it in there.
And he goes, "That will be gone in
10 minutes. It'll be, there'll be no trace.
There'll be no trace." Yeah.
And I think I gave you a still. I think I sent you a still of the head.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a closer up shot of the head.
Yeah.
Before he did it, so that was deleted.
Yeah. No, very cool. But how he just starts dismembering it, and how they don't go into detail about what's in keeping this like right there. The body's wrapped.
There's a little shout out to Rocky Horror Picture Show. Totally borrowed that. Actually, they used a lot of the props from Hammer movies. That might even be the tank that they just painted in something.
Frankfurter.
But yeah, look at that picture. Just like when Rocky's laying in the tank, exact same thing right there. Shout out to Curse of Frankenstein there for sure.
Totally, I knew that from Rocky Horror when we watched it that it was the
same
we
talked about that
because this is an iconic image too, where through Hammer Frankenstein this
head, just the body laying.
But the water is cleaner here.
Yeah, maybe.
And it does get dirtier.
I always like to imagine.
So I wonder what's keeping the body from breaking down.
Maybe it's not water. Like I remember in Kenneth Branagh's version of Frankenstein, it was amniotic fluid. Like he'd go, all these women giving birth when the water broke, he would get the amniotic fluid, and that's what he used.
Yeah.
So I always like to think that that's amniotic fluid. Like I think that makes sense to me.
Does that make you feel good and make you thrilled?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't know. That's
what I was going to say about originally Hammer wanted to do a black and white Frankenstein movie.
They wanted Boris Karloff.
Yeah, redo it with Boris Karloff, but that's when Universal intervened and said, nope, no go. It's going to be a no go, and that's when they ended up going through disputes and stuff and totally changing it up and saying, well, we're doing it anyways. We added the color, the Technicolor at the time, and
they
all that.
wanted Peter Cushing. So, he was their first choice for Victor Frankenstein. They really pushed hard to get him.
Can I say just what a name, Peter Cushing? So iconic.
Do you know they're bringing him back in this new Star Wars movie that's coming out next month? Digitally bringing him back?
Yes.
I'll tell you what. I will go see this movie. When I see Peter Cushing, and if he looks like Peter Cushing, I am just going to give a big, yeah! Yeah! And I'm just going to see if anybody knows. Like, his name better damn well be in the credits. If it's not, I'm ticked. His family better be getting a cut of money.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, if they're going to use even his likeness, they're just... Yeah, it's like him acting in a part of it. That's what I'm saying, man. So, yeah. They've got to negotiate the right...
the likeness, I guess.
Yeah, you would think.
I don't know.
So,
yeah. Okay, so it's like,
But, guess who shows up?
Oh, but we got to...
we do.
Victor Frankenstein's going to leave. He's like, he after, the creature, what we have, the framework is wrapped up.
Rocky.
He gets an idea. Oh. He's like, I'm going to leave for the night. He's looking at his watch. Yes, if I go now, I can be back by tomorrow night. He's being very, evasive about where he's going. We're going to find out shortly.
Always got his little black medical satchel.
Then we get the scene with the what is it, the housemaid, Justine.
Yes.
She's bringing some drinks. Paul's in the parlor, and
she
thought that was him.
Yeah, and she goes, ooh, because we'll come to find out.
Yeah, a little la la going on with the help.
Yeah, a little bit of love.
And yes. Ooh, lover, what you wanna go and do that for?
Little bit of body rubbing going on.
Some body rocking, knocking the boots.
Some body rubbing, some sweat getting down.
And also, there's a knock at the door, and it turns out it's Elizabeth, who, unbeknownst to Paul, has written a letter to Victor. She's going to be moving into the house, and they're going to be getting married, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Victor shows up moments later, and
like,
Elizabeth, hello. Paul, come with me.
Well, I like how Paul goes, how can you marry somebody that you have never known?
It was an arrangement because
it was prearranged. He
took care of them all their lives.
Yeah, so I owe him a debt of gratitude. She said...
It's like something that was just...
She said he gets all of this.
Yes.
And
that's Hazel Court. Pretty foxy.
Yeah.
Been in lots of these types of... Been in other Hammer films. Been in Vincent Price films. A Roger Corman, Edgar Allan Poe movie that didn't have Vincent Price in it, Premature Burial, which is fantastic if you've never seen it. Price would have been good in it, but he was doing another film and couldn't do this one. But it's one of the Corman Poe cycle of films. It just doesn't have Vincent Price in it. So yeah, he's like, Paul, come upstairs with me to the lab real quick.
Yeah, he doesn't even give Elizabeth not too much attention.
No, I'll see you at dinner.
Yeah. I haven't seen you since you were a little girl. I know we're getting married.
You're pretty foxy, but
I need to run upstairs. And...
What I got in this bag is more important.
Yes.
And goes up there and he just takes it out and he's got a pair of hands.
And Paul's just like,
where did you get those? And he says, I had heard that it's an artist, a sculptor, like someone who was considered one of the world's greatest sculptors.
Picasso
had just died a week ago.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
And he's like, it's like it just took a little bit of bribery, and I got his hands.
And this,
so now my creature will have, the hands of one of the greatest artists.
Yeah. And that's where we'll find out Paul is starting to get an inkling of, this just
it's
is
just
not
a rift,
right,
He's convinced that Victor's making a mistake, that this is just going to lead to something bad. Victor just doesn't see that. It's like, he just doesn't get why you don't get what I'm doing. This is what we've worked for.
This is what I'm talking about.
Ever since we've been together, this is what we've been trying to do, and now we're doing it. And you don't want to do it. So he just opens the door. He's like, fine, I'm not coming down to dinner, make my excuses. I'm working all night long. And
that's where I was getting my point to where he doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. He doesn't know any better. He's like almost childish when it comes to not knowing right from wrong.
Well, in a way, he's not hurting anybody. He is trying to do something that no one's done before, something that could possibly benefit mankind. If
we've tried this many times. It's just
poor results. We
get the twitching, but that's just the nerves. It's.
And then one time it passed gas, and that was it.
Because of the nerves. When you put that electricity through whatever we got, it
stimulated that vagal nerve. And
vagal nerve.
Vagal.
Do you put cream on your vagal?
Don't you love those commercials like a guy's crossing the street and you just look right at you? When my hemorrhoids flare up. Get out the road! Or how come Viagra commercials never have guys in them? It's always ladies. It's never a guy saying, guys, do you have a hard time getting it up?
Because the guy that's looking at the woman...
I'd say watch a Hammer movie, but...
Because the guy looking at the woman on the film is going, oh yeah, look at her. Oh my God, I do need one. Woo! But anyways, yeah. It's psychological.
Right.
But, Ben doesn't... Ben. Paul doesn't... end up leaving or nothing because he takes an infatuation with Elizabeth.
Yeah, maybe at first it starts off as he's surprised that she would marry someone she doesn't know, like you were mentioning. But he's concerned that Victor's going down a dark path, and this naive young lady who doesn't even know him shouldn't be exposed to this. Shouldn't have to.
Who seems nice enough.
Right. Yeah, seems like a nice enough girl.
She says hello, goodbye.
Right. She
Would
says
you
all
like
the right
a drink?
Things. Right. And you know what else is cool? The dresses that she wore in this film are actual, authentic Victorian era dresses that were just handed down. So these are actual antiques that she's wearing. This was not wardrobe. This was real dresses.
Expensive brooch. I think the brooch on her was.
I don't know about the brooch, but the dresses themselves. So that's cool, man. It just lends. And again, let's look at the set here for a minute.
You think the corset was?
I don't know.
Original Victorian.
But again, all the sets look good. And upstairs,
boy.
What do we got? Victor and the help getting a little comfy.
Paul and Elizabeth are downstairs discussing things.
Wow. Yeah, he's telling her you should leave. He's like, you should just get out of here.
Victor and the maid, what's her name?
Justine.
She is intent that he is going to marry her, and she's like, why?
She's the friggin' help.
She's like, what is she
here
for?
Would I marry you?
Why is Elizabeth here? What are you gonna do? And he's laughing at her.
Like,
she goes, you still go. She goes, you go, sure, you go get married to me. Very good.
Yeah, sure. We're gonna do all that.
And he puts one good slap on her butt.
Bam.
He goes, I'm gonna.
You may not remember one of our second podcast.
Yeah.
We actually did. This is when we were audio only. We did 2 films. We did Horror of Dracula and we did Brides of Dracula. And she was actually in Horror of Dracula. She was the vampire, like the wife, his vampire bride that was in the house. That was her. I forgot her name, but she's been in a few of these films.
She get the bit on the neck.
She's got that look of just Eastern European about her, Mediterranean kind of. She's got that look. She fits in with this.
She's got the look
in my book.
You got me happy scat, whatever. I don't know the words.
There's Victor.
It's a good thing I don't know the words of that song.
The next morning, he's about to leave again.
Heppa-jammin'.
Heppa-jammin'.
I don't know whatever. But yeah, he's got the little brooch or
his little medical bag, and Victor, you're not leaving again, are you? I'll be back soon.
Thing is, I don't think they've even
They don't really know
made love.
No, they ain't made no love, man. No.
And I'm like going, what? They haven't gotten married yet, so
no. As of right now, she's just kind of a guest there. She's living there and
waiting for the wedding.
She even says she's like, "Oh, I'd love to help you with your experiment." She just wants to spend time with him.
And he even says,
perhaps you will. And I almost think he means it there.
Right. Like, I think he's so taken back on what he's doing that even the love of a woman who whatever, even though he may not even have that. I mean, he's doing whatever with the maid,
Yeah. That's just a time killer, man. That's just
right. And I think that's just out of habit over the years. She's,
Well, I mean, that's what you do with the help. I mean, we had our maid when I was a kid, Annie. I'd take the tennis racket and smack her on the ass with it when I was a kid. And she'd be like, "Oh, that boy!
He's so silly. He's slapping me on the
wham.
Okay,
there you go, fat Annie."
Oh, you got
such a naughty nanny. Yes, he goes.
I never had a nanny.
No,
I always wished I did.
Yeah, nothing like it. Nothing like it.
I'd tell her.
Had my bum powdered until I was 13.
Mother said you can go take a shower and get yourself all cleaned. I promised her that you would be nice and clean. And I always pictured her going in there and taking it.
Nice.
It's a squid. No, it's an eye. It's a retina.
So Victor Frankenstein has gone to purchase some eyes now. Because those were the first things to go.
My migraine's starting to feel better, but I'm keeping these on because I can't have it throb back.
He, and there were some scenes of some. I gave you a still, but it's actually a still from the film.
Yeah.
But there were some scenes of other close-ups of the eyes and things.
It's still from the film.
Yeah, it's a still from the film.
A still from.
And you love how he walks into the charnel house, where they, where all the dead bodies go, and he's buying a pair of eyes.
And the guy who brings it is just.
Big, you can't even see the chest down,
but you see enough of like the gut with the apron, the guy that
coughing he's doing,
yeah, right over the
sounds
eye.
Real healthy.
Yeah, it's like
are you going to be using that head in a few minutes or something? And he purchases, and he's got his little vial with whatever preservative in there already.
Yeah, he takes the eye it's not damaging the eyes and stuff, and he drops it into the whatever he's got.
And a classic scene, you'll see it like in stills and on posters of. Victor Frankenstein looking through the magnifying glass, his eyes all big, and he's checking out the eye, and he wants to show Paul. Man, he wants Paul.
It's got cataract.
Yeah, it's got some purple. No, maybe it's the nerve or something. But he's trying to take Paul with him, though. It's just at this point, Paul doesn't want anything to do, but he still wants to take his friend with him. It's like we're partners in this. He's still keeping him in the loop of what I'm doing. I feel like, aren't you curious about
Sherlock Holmes and you're my Watson?
I guess.
Hey,
that's another character Peter Cushing played was Sherlock Holmes.
He did in Hound of the Baskervilles
with Christopher Lee.
Yes. He brings him up and shows Paul what he's done.
Right. It's got a head, and
he's just sickened.
They don't show us yet, but Paul just takes a look and is like, oh.
He goes, "What?" He mentions, "What are you going to do?"
He
with
mentions
the
how
scars?
grotesque it looks. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what he tries to tell me is like, if I can get a good brain,
yes,
an intelligent, a genius level brain,
it doesn't
then the features
yes.
will take on the benevolence of an intelligent, educated person. If you get a criminal's brain and put in there, the features are going to take the form of someone who's a criminal. And they did all kinds of studies on that back in the day. I mean, I remember way back when I went to college. I was actually going for law enforcement at first, and I remember taking classes where we talked about all those studies they used to do, like the big foreheads and the protruding eyebrows and things like that.
Yeah. How
those were characteristics of deviance and things like that. Yeah. So a little bit of that's right here too.
Yeah. An intelligent, ugly guy would do better than
I guess he's just
dumb. Good-looking guy.
Yeah, I guess.
With a woman.
Well, just that the features would...
Not necessarily.
All those scars. He's like, once the scars heal,
actually, that's not true at all. I take that back.
Take it all back. I'm taking them all back.
I don't know what
this one's mine.
This one... Oh, and now we got the professor.
Here's
we got
Professor
Bernstein, right?
Yeah.
They've
invited a guest.
Yes, a very smart guest.
One of the great minds of Europe, great scientific researcher. They've invited him to Victor Frankenstein's home.
He's sitting there.
They made sure to do it. Victor made sure to do it on a night when Paul was gone, because Paul's going to show up in a little while.
And he's like, "Oh, I thought you were going to be gone till morning."
Yep.
Because Victor
This is the line right here. Victor has invited him here with the purpose of getting that brain.
And I love this guy's look. I love his hair.
Yeah, man, he's just...
And he's sitting there going, "Oh, your work is very
nasty brown teeth." And
yes, he smokes that cigar, and right at the bottom teeth down here, you can see a big, gigantic yellow hole, and that's for real.
Yep, that's
these are British actors. I mean,
Yeah, they weren't known for the choppers.
Got to say, ain't nothing going on with my teeth. You gonna rub that thing cavity out of there? No way.
Yes.
So
they're having their little conversation.
Chip chop, chimmy chum chang home ham.
They're brandy and cigars.
Yes.
That's what you have after a meal, brandy and cigars.
In the good old days.
Elizabeth's all happy. She's talking to Professor, charming the hell out of him.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
With half of her top of her body exposed.
But again, that's elegant, though.
It's elegant.
Beautiful, it's elegant.
But think of how much. Think of how much, though, there is uncovered. With her dress.
I like that.
I know.
And that's the hottest part right there.
And that's why the old guy wants to go up early to bed.
Yeah,
Oh, boy. Chick, chick, chick. Anyway.
Look, he almost drops his glass right there.
Again, if you're listening to us on iTunes, pop over to YouTube and you can see
we're so sexy.
What we're talking about. Well, I'm just saying, because, we got, the listeners on iTunes are... if not more than the YouTube. So I'm just saying, anybody listening...
Do they leave comments?
You can leave reviews on iTunes. I wish you guys would leave more reviews than you do, but they're just listeners. But if you go to the analytics, you see exactly how many, from where, how long,
and who,
and
do we have their names,
locations? No, you don't get.
I want names.
Actual name of.
Well, see, that's not right.
If you get 2,000 listens on one show, okay.
I'd like all the email addresses.
How the hell are you going to find it?
Then I could send personalized thank yous.
But nevertheless, you come to YouTube and you can see us if you want. But, and you can see the clips we're talking about. So
you should do that. When you leave comment, leave your name and your email address. And
well, I'm sick asking the YouTubers.
Your bank account information and what you like to eat when you're watching movies, and maybe throw in what your favorite movie is and your favorite boy band, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay, then.
Your favorite boy band.
Do you like the softer, less sheets of toilet paper?
Yeah.
Or do you like the thinner 1,000 count sheets of toilet paper?
I like John Wayne toilet paper.
What's
Rough
that?
and tough and don't take shit off nobody.
Ay.
So the professor's going to excuse himself
and
to go to
Marianne.
bed.
Paul
has shown up.
Yes.
Just taken aback that such a great mind is here and he didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
That was on purpose.
And the professor does go, "I am so sorry. We can speak in the morning.
Right.
I am very tired. Just being an old man that I am.
And it's actually very touching when he's going up the stairs. He's like,
oh,
it's
yeah.
so nice that,
it's so sad.
Someone would invite me to their home, and because I don't have any children, I'm alone.
And you see Victor looking around, even though Paul
at the
showed
top
up.
Of the stairs. The picture that they're looking at is actually a Rembrandt of a surgery, and he basically just he does it. Oh, Professor, look out! But he physically takes him, turns him around, and pushes him through the railing of the stairs on the floor,
which was top-notch props.
Yeah, you can actually, if you're looking at the floor when he hits, you could see the cushion.
Oh yeah,
you can see like the floor.
Yeah,
dent in a little bit.
Well, even the
but the stuntman didn't hit right anyway. They said he almost killed himself.
Really,
yeah,
it looked like it. It didn't look very. Right.
But that was real body hitting the floor.
In this scene here, going to the grave, the
Another
mausoleum.
Thing Hammer does great is graveyards, man.
Yes, and
with
mausoleums.
Always a castle in the background, or
big mountain sky. Yeah, I mean it's awesome, and what he's doing, because the professor. Which is the reason why I killed him for the brain, is because he did not have any family members.
This is all plotted
so
out.
he's, I think a priest or villager or something comes up to him and says, thank you for, taking him in and putting him into your family crypt or mausoleum.
He said, it's the least I could do. He was a guest.
This right here, Ted.
That's the scene right there.
Look at this. Right out of an Edgar Allan Poe book,
look at
man.
The vulture statue on top of the tomb, the crooked crosses.
Purple skyline.
Yeah. And this is the line that he's crossed now. There's no going back. He's officially a murderer now.
Can I just say that's an awful skinny coffin?
It is a little.
Nobody can go in there.
Mine wouldn't fit in there very comfortably.
No.
But he's in it's late at night. He's in
the
crypt.
Maybe if you're
and he's opening up the coffin.
This.
That's probably what they did. And for the intent purpose of extracting his brain.
Like an old lady laying there in his casket. Right. Like an old bitty bitch. What did I say?
That's not good for the kids watching this.
Oh, sorry, kids. That is a female dog.
That's what I told my kids. I go, if you're referring to a female dog, you can say bitch.
Amen.
That's right. As long as you're using... I don't know what's
going on upstairs, man. It's a ruckus-a-muckus. What?
But look, he's got all his stuff. He's got all his instruments. Hey,
it's bedtime!
You're at school in the morning.
Keep it down!
There's the brain and I don't know, jug of yoo-hoo. But it's cleaner right there.
It looks like the dirtiest... It looks like you work in a coal mine. You came home and you took a bath.
Oh, here we
go.
It's
like a bath water. But,
so he's got it in a jar. He's putting it in a velvet sack.
Is it just me, or does it look like a smaller than a usual brain?
A brain's not real big.
So you think...
I mean, yours is only... but really, it's not that... It's not a huge... I mean, your skull's got some... It's really not that big. I mean, it's in human beings, it's big for in proportion to our size.
Right. Yeah.
But, when you think like some animals have one that are the size of a pea. But Paul comes in, knew exactly what Victor was up to, and tries to stop him.
Yeah, he knew he killed the professor. He said, I knew you killed the professor.
You did this, yeah. There's a struggle, and he tries to take the brain away from Victor. There's a struggle. The glass jar that it's in gets smashed against the wall and breaks, and he's just, get out of here! If you've damaged it, I don't, if you've and in essence, Paul did damage it,
and he pretty much still has trust in him, he's
the only person he can turn to, whenever he.
But again,
he's the only one who knows what he's doing.
Victor here has no really, what am I trying to say? He has no concept that. What did I just do? I just murdered a guy, okay? And Paul knows it now. And I'm just concerned about this brain. I'm not concerned about Paul knowing that I killed somebody.
Yeah.
So it's just,
Well, he knows that Paul's not going to say much to the authorities.
I know, he keeps telling him you're in on this.
Yeah, you're in this with me as well. Maybe not as deep, obviously. But
he could probably have enough on him.
Right.
To get some blame on him. So I guess that could leave you a little worried. But so he runs back home to Elizabeth's Wizard of Oz. But
his emotions when he crosses that line finally. It's I try to understand what he's thinking. It's like he's so close and he wants
Glenn Close.
He wants this experiment to succeed so much that he was willing to take that step to, take an old man who was a very old man, definitely.
Yes.
And kill him to take his brain. And
because evidently he couldn't find one.
Didn't
anywhere.
think much of it.
Mm-hmm.
A little sociopathic there. Just not
really
empathizing with.
Yeah. And when you get back to the lab,
Paul. Well, first we say in between that scene, Paul goes to visit Elizabeth in bed, and basically wakes her up out of a dead sleep and says, "Like, you need to leave." She refuses, but that was kind of like the whole point.
It still doesn't tell her.
And I think
why.
he's like you said, he's developing some feelings for her. They're not really acted upon in this film, but he's always there. Like you can just tell by the end of the movie, he's just going to hover in that background, and she's going to come to him eventually.
Yeah. But he didn't tell her yet what's going on. But the scene here where he's in the lab, he's actually. Don't ask me why. He's picking the glass out of the brain.
He's going to try to use it.
Like he can, try to use it and try to fix it later on. And they show him, which is kind of cool and weird at the same time. Like hover over the body in the thing. He steps up on. I don't know how he's going down to perform the surgery.
No idea.
Hanging over the water. And
he's about to put that halo thing on.
That clamps it and slip the brain in there.
Cut the scalp off to put the brain in.
But then he's pretty much ready to. He's got every flavor of Kool-Aid in all kinds of glass containers, which is very conducive and conductive of electricity.
There's all the Hawaiian punch you could possibly want.
Yes. And, this is where they cut the scene out. The kid came in and made all kinds of Easter eggs.
Yeah. The little wire thing.
And once he did...
Do get out of here.
Because they all came and knocked at the door and said, "Victor, please, let us do our Easter egg." But I do like the red liquid you see
stuff.
Is they used palm olive in there.
I guess you're soaking in it.
So
Madge, you're soaking in it.
Oh,
did anybody even know who Madge is? Remember those commercials?
Oh, you gotta know the 60s and 70s. Well, the 70s.
You're soaking in it.
Or Mr. Whipple.
Don't squeeze the Charmin.
Or don't squeeze the bread too, right? Wonder, or was it just Charmin?
No, that was just Charmin.
I thought he did the Wonder Bread too.
Mr. Whipple.
Like,
hell, even Weird Al Yankovic mentioned him in a song. It was in the Transformers movie. Dare to be Stupid. He even mentioned Mr. Whipple. You better squeeze all the Charmin you can when Mr. Whipple's not around.
I never caught on that.
It's a good song.
So what's going on now?
Well, Victor's trying to conduct the experiment.
All by himself.
Right. Paul's
you
in
got
his
the
room.
lightning going on outside. He's got the electricity starting with all the wires down in there.
And there's Paul in his room in his
red satin
Hugh Hefner smoking jacket, and he knows what Victor's doing upstairs.
In his little kid's twin bed.
Yeah, with the posts and it's like
you know what I call him? A sissy.
He is a sissy. He should be up there working. But no, seriously, how hard is that for him? He's in the house.
Oh,
he knows what Victor's doing up there.
Sorry to use the word sissy on Paul.
What, aren't we allowed to use
Paul's a good guy.
And finally...
He only cares about Elizabeth.
I guess.
And himself.
But see, Victor's having a hard time now, because when they designed this, he's actually going to go down
He thought he was having a hard time.
He pleaded, well, what's going to happen, yeah.
Something
But he goes downstairs to plead to Paul, I need your help.
Yes.
You know, when we designed this equipment, it was for 2 people to operate. I can't do it by myself.
He plead his pants.
I think the best way he could have got him up there is to say, well, I'm just going to have Elizabeth come up here and help me.
Ooh.
And he probably would have...
You know what?
I'm surprised he didn't say that.
You should play Victor in the movie, the next one.
Yeah, let me play him.
Yeah.
I do a damn good job.
Heck yeah.
So
we will.
The water's starting to leak out, and some lightning's going to strike.
I'll play Elizabeth.
Yeah. Now, I like that.
Oh.
I like that.
Victor. Victor. Do it to me, baby. Victor. Victor. You got the moves. You're so electric.
He got no moves. He's stiff.
Boogie woogie.
Look at those sideburns on him, too.
Oh, man.
I can't grow sideburns. If I could, I'd have sideburns just like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to grow it all out here.
You doing your sideburns that way?
Trying to get my Viking beard going.
Yeah, man.
It's been a year and a half of ups and downs, trims and shaves.
Let all the hair grow. Every hair you got. Let it all grow.
I should let my ear hairs grow, too. That
Do
I
it.
can twist those up.
Man, isn't it funny? Like you hit the age like late 30s, 40, and all of a sudden, at least with me, like the ears, like overnight, you've got like an inch long hair sticking out of your ear. Like, where the hell did that come from? Like, I'll get up in the morning, I look, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I look like Eddie Munster. I gotta sit there and pluck before I go to work.
They say that's from when you don't clear your earwax up. The earwax is like topsoil.
I'm a madman about earwax.
The earwax is like topsoil, though. You're not doing a good job because it's fertile
I'm
soil.
And I'm pinky fingering.
It's fertile soil, and it's not really hair.
I don't know.
It's actually plants.
I think it's all that extra testosterone.
In the fairy level. Could be.
So lightning strikes the ground, and it gets that electrical, that static,
and all that water goes down
going again,
and
brings the creature to life.
Yeah,
with no help at all.
Yeah, I think he shut down, and I think
Paul, I don't need you after all. Go on, yeah.
The lightning, I think, kicked everything on.
Yeah, because he had turned it off.
Yeah,
to go
went
get Paul.
again. So,
Look at this smoking jacket.
So he's down there going, "I do need your help," and he pretty much persuades him to.
Yeah, he says, just let me bring him to life.
You.
Let me study him for a month or two at the most, and I will destroy him. Just let me study the work.
And Paul says,
he agrees to that.
Can you imagine back in the day?
I mean, what else you got to do? You're living at this guy's house for nothing.
Well, and
this is his house.
In the rooms and stuff. I mean, it's just a totally different day. And I mean, imagine being in the Victorian era. I mean, of course you read books, you go for walks, you look at the stars, you eat dinner, you plan out your day. Times have changed so much, Let's drive up to McDonald's. There's 10 minutes. You're ready for eating. Turn on the big TV. I'd almost want to, not for good, but go back. Oh, there we go. Sorry.
The creature.
Yeah, we jump right.
He opens the door and
because they're in the hall getting ready to go up, and you hear the glass crash. So he breaks out of the glass, and there you go.
Look at our first look at the makeup.
Christopher Lee as the creature.
A very iconic looking makeup. This was done by Phil Leakey.
Mm-hmm.
And
we were talking Lee, a big before, man starts to choke.
The reason Christopher Lee got the job, Christopher Lee starts doing a choke out on Victor here.
Oh.
There were two guys up for the role. Hammer just wanted a really tall, big guy.
Mm-hmm.
There was Christopher Lee, who I think is like 6'5", 6'6", something like that.
He's a big guy.
And there was another guy who was like 6'8".
Yeah.
The guy who was 6'8" wanted 10 pounds a day. Christopher Lee would do it for 8 pounds a day. So because of 2 pounds,
yes,
Christopher Lee became an international movie star.
Exactly.
All right, because this is really where he got his start in Hammer.
And him and Peter Cushing, like I said, friends till the end.
Yes, Peter Cushing died of prostate cancer in he succumbed to it in 1994.
Yeah.
And pretty much, worked. He was married, very devoted to his wife who died in the early 70s,
mm-hmm.
and especially throughout the 70s, he just nonstop work. I think maybe just to keep himself busy, but movie after movie after movie, some good, some not so good.
Yeah.
Kind of just like we were saying, and I was saying in one of the talkbacks in the comments, these actors, they worked for a paycheck. I mean, imagine 10 pounds a day or 8 pounds a day.
Yeah, not 20 million for five films.
Yeah, exactly. They worked for a paycheck,
mm-hmm.
and I think Christopher Lee even holds a record for if not the record, of having acted in the most films.
Really?
He just said, if someone offers you work, you don't turn it down.
Mm-hmm.
You do the best you can with it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in his fair share of not so good films, but you try to elevate the material and bring something to it. And, they didn't always, as I put it in that, I think I said something like, they didn't always have the luxury of turning down an acting gig.
Mm-hmm.
I got to eat.
Yeah.
So, and especially as you get older, they want newer, younger faces.
Okay, I get it, Ted. So what we're...
Whoa,
what?
Totally what the... So rude. I'll never forgive you now.
I'm joking with you. But
so what happens? He's choking out Victor.
Oh, no.
And
let's go back to what you were saying. I'm joking.
That was about it.
No, I know.
That was pretty much
That's
it.
why I
could just drone on.
No, that's
which is why you just nicely cut me right
exactly.
off there. I know.
No, I'm...
Whatever.
Oh,
and Paul whacks him with a chair. Whacks the creature with a chair.
Oh, we're back there, see?
Yeah, might as well talk about the movie now.
Well, we just went through the whole, Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to mention that this is the film that got Christopher Lee, going on his way to stardom. I mean,
from here to going on about Tom Cruise
to a James Bond movie, to a Star Wars movie in the end, to Lord of the Rings. None of that would have happened if it wasn't for this film.
What James Bond movie was he in?
Man with the Golden Gun.
That's right.
And none of that would have happened if it wasn't for him being in this movie. It's kind of like that decision Michael Corleone made in The Godfather to go see his father on that particular night when all the men left and how it changed his whole life. This film changed his life because of this film and where it went and how successful it was. Mm-hmm. The rest of his life became what it was.
Awesome. And here's Hammer's interpretation.
So they trap
the blind
him down.
Guy.
Yep. So they have him.
But before that,
the creature's all strapped down.
Yeah. After he straps him, even though Paul's saying, we gotta get rid of him. Basically, he'd kill him right there.
Yeah, we gotta study him.
But
study his habits.
And he thought he could keep him down. But the next scene there's the kid picking up mushrooms. We're a little
blind man
right now.
and his grandson.
But
shout out
the
to
creature,
Bride of Frankenstein,
right?
And actually, the original story too has a family and a blinder older man.
But Christopher Lee, the creature, breaks out of those straps, and when they go up there the next day, they see that the Kool-Aid Man was there. Kool-Aid! And he broke through the wall and knocked everything down. And here's a scene where you can see his neck and the skin.
Right.
The
reason for that
is
because remember they had to cut the head off.
Right.
And so when they put this other head on there, all the skin hasn't attached yet and all that.
So
that's a cool way of doing that.
And what was the scene right there with
the jacket?
Nosferatu.
Look at Nosferatu here in the old 1920s silent film.
Yes.
And look how they did that. That even the way he's holding his hands straight down like that.
It's kind of like a little homage to him. So
and that's
love
what's cool
the
about it. It's
jacket.
subtle.
That long, dark peacoat type jacket.
Yeah, the blind man hears someone coming through, and it's the creature. Christopher Lee's lumbering towards him, and he's all, I've got nothing. I'm a blind old man. I don't have anything for you.
Yeah.
What do you want?
The creature technically wasn't going or nothing.
It was
and
quiet.
the blind man's freaking out.
Starting to hit him with a stick.
I think the blind man was actually a little psychotic.
Yeah, creature's grabbing it, just snaps
Look at
the
that
stick
scene there with him.
He's going after him now, though.
Oh.
Well, he started to attack him.
And again, Hammer. Mm-hmm. What's the imagery you get? Cold, bleak. All the leaves are like brown and fall. Dreary.
Yeah.
And you got the depressive little boy down there because the grandfather brought the boy to go pick mushrooms down by the water. And, heard the scream of his grandpa and runs back. But do they ever...
They don't...
they never show the
hear
kid
anything.
again.
You
just like the dog.
You have that ominous feeling that, the child's going to get it. And then in the next scenes as Victor and Paul are searching the forest for the creature, they don't notice it, but the camera pans off to the side and you see the kid's satchel laying in the leaves.
Right.
So he met with a bad end, too. Maybe he picked him up and threw him in the lake.
Could have.
Like
I would have liked them to have shown that. That would have been cool. Although Universal would have been on them.
You know what, though? Just showing that bag right there, that's enough. You got all you need to know. It's all right there. You don't have no bodies, but there it is. Oh, man. So they're looking around. Paul's got it. They both have their rifles. And Paul's ready. He's going to shoot to kill.
Just wondering what the heck's going on.
Kind of a little ruckus. Well, we are doing our show a little bit earlier tonight. It's not quite... It's the late horror show. It's not quite the late horror show tonight.
Right, okay. So it's
sometimes we don't get started till after
It's not
9:30.
Bad noise. I'm just making sure the kids...
It's like bedtime noise. It's like what it is at my house.
But here we come.
Look at them lumbering
Sorry,
out
I
of
got
the
quiet
woods.
there a little bit, but I had to hear what was going on.
There's the blood that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Shoots him right in the eye. And this whole time, Victor is making sure to let Paul know, this is partly your fault.
Yeah.
You damaged the brain. I had a perfect brain for him, and you damaged it.
Yes.
What he was hoping to do when they had him strapped down,
was work on the brain.
Yeah, he's like, I'll operate on the brain tomorrow and try to fix it.
Yeah, I don't know how he was going to be able to
do that. But now he just put a bullet through the brain.
Yeah.
And he even tells him, like, Paul, I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you for this.
Because Paul told him to go get help from the village, and he pretty much acted like he did.
But he didn't.
But he didn't. And Paul's all mad, but he's like, well, I got him
You just
now.
had the two of us against him? It's like, well, we could have been killed, but we weren't. And, he had rifles.
Yeah, he's like, we weren't. We're all good. And they bury him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But another thing I wanted to know, Ted, this is a big, but again, it's just part of the movie. When he was laying on the thing strapped in the gauze, okay, how did he broke out, and he should have been nude. Did he go find that pea coat and those clothes and those boots and everything? Did he find those in Victor's
I guess the
drawers
same
or something?
thing with the original
I
Frankenstein. What did they do? Get him dressed?
Exactly, but I mean, you can't see him, walking around naked. But although, if I made a movie, I would.
Well,
you got to be realistic, man.
Well,
you don't got the guy covered up. He's covered in gauze.
That's the cool thing about Frankenstein, though. The story lends itself to interpretation,
right?
And Kenneth Branagh did one that's really good.
He did. Robert De Niro as the monster.
And you could easily. They're going to do another one. It'll.
You know what I'm saying?
It'll suck it. I can tell you right now. But whenever they do it, in 10 years or however long they take to do it, it'll suck because every movie nowadays sucks. And not every movie. But I'll tell you, the new Trolls movie did stink. I take all my kids. I take
the
my
new
kids
Trolls
to see
movie. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've seen The Secret Life of Pets, and
that was okay.
It was good. Yeah.
That was okay. But man, I just had the gun in mouth blues watching that movie. I mean, like visually, it would look really cool, but every 2 friggin' minutes they were busting out into some song that had nothing to do with anything.
Oh no! It was a type of
it was
kids
like
song musical type
it was
movie.
A reason to sell a soundtrack.
Oh my!
I mean, a lot of damn songs.
Really.
And like I said, gun in mouth blues.
Like Selena Gomez was singing a troll.
Whatever, I'm
coming down to.
I'm coming down to Troll Town. Whatever.
Beyonce.
Yeah, that kind of crap.
Yeah. Smacking it up.
And
there we go.
I wanted to rip my eyeballs out.
There's a great scene too.
Ears. They bury the creature. They head back to the house.
We find out he's not buried, but what Paul...
We know some time's gone by, and Victor goes into the lab, and there's the creature hanging right there from the ceiling from a hook or whatever, and we know Victor's dug him up and dragged him back.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm going to bring you back to life. I brought you back to life. I brought you to life once. I can bring you back to life again.
Yeah, I guess he'll repair the tissue and all that. That's...
Do the best he can.
Which is, so once the bullet goes through the brain...
I don't even know why he's bothering, though. He did it once. He knows he can do it.
But
why you keep...
I'm trying to get down to the science of the matter here.
Jesus.
Well, I mean, if it's the electricity that brings you back to life...
Well, that's never established in the book. That's something
right, but I mean, in these
films,
in these films, you kind of get that idea.
Right. Electricity has to be that spark of life.
And in the meantime here...
you love it. He comes downstairs and there's Justine.
And she's going, basically, are you going to marry her,
Well, he's about to walk away and she's like, wait just a minute.
He
just gives her that look like, have you forgotten your place?
Yeah. And she threatens him.
Well, are you really going to marry that woman? He's like, what if I am? What are you going to do?
Right. She goes, I know what's going on in there, which I don't think she really does. Because later she tries to go and unlock it, but anyways.
And she says, I'm pregnant. She says, I'm pregnant.
Yes.
And, he kind of just tells it, like, why me? He's like, why don't you go pick some guy in the village? Because chances are it's probably him.
Yeah. Because she was, she slept with anything and he doesn't.
And you don't know if she's telling the truth or not. I mean, she could just be saying that. It's kind of stuff chicks might do sometimes. But
getting back to the electricity scientific side of it, if in this film the way they portray most of, and I think we've come to know that life is brought on by a spark. I mean, truly, everything has energy. There's an electrical rhythm to everything that's living. Anyways, Frankenstein, the creature, the monster, whatever. Okay, when the bullet shoots through his head, that stops that electricity from flowing?
Well, it depending on what blood vessels it hit. I mean, he bled a lot. He could have hemorrhaged.
Okay, so
depending on what part of the brain it damaged.
Okay, so the electrical side.
Why does anybody die when they get shot through the eye?
Right. Well, I guess that's what I'm coming to. It's the matter.
Likely,
you need matter and the spark.
Medically speaking, it's probably because of shock and hemorrhage that you would die.
Right. And just the loss of blood because you need that blood physically to maintain the. So it could
or
disrupt.
If a part of the brain was damaged that controls respiration or cardiac function or something.
So it
like
disrupts life, and so technically in the Mary Shelley story, or not her technically, sorry, but in the Frankenstein version or story of this, it disrupts life. It doesn't kill because you can bring it back to life if the organs and blood and everything was put back together.
If you can repair the tissue damage and the arterial damage, whatever, then...
So there you go. So that's what, I can bring you back to life still. Right. Once we fix the bullet hole in the brain.
But it's not like you'll be back to where 100%.
You were. Right, because
the brain was damaged.
Yeah.
And we
so you can put that electricity back and the
1818,
life
whenever
back
the story takes
yeah.
place, I'm sure, brain surgery wasn't, the thing that we knew everything about because we don't know anything
so my
about
little
today.
Spiel there, but...
So Justine threatens Dr. Frankenstein.
And she's
that she will go to the authorities. She doesn't say what she knows. He keeps asking, what do you know?
She's in her nightgown, too.
I could find out things.
Yes.
I could tell them. And let me just tell you, ladies, if you are a housemaid and you work for
a rich
guy, don't threaten him because chances are most rich people don't get rich by being stupid. Some do, but most don't. And if you're their servant, chances are they're far more smarter than you are. And they're gonna, they probably have better connections.
Yeah.
They can make it look like a bloody accident. Let's put it that way. Because they can afford to. And that's what's about to happen here. She sneaks up to the lab, I'm presuming to get some evidence.
To get some Kool-Aid and Tang.
And some
anyway,
some icy.
She walks through all the laboratory, and I think she hears something.
She sees a light on under the door.
Yeah.
It goes out. She kind of hides around the corner, hears the door open and close. Victor comes out. He goes around a corner. He's just waiting over there.
Yeah.
She goes in.
And she goes, "Hi, little guinea pig. How you doing?"
And
because there's guinea pig up there, and there's
snooping around.
Mouse that looks like it doesn't even have a cage. It's just sitting up there in a little box.
Oh, look at the shadow, man! You see Christopher Lee, the creature, coming at her.
Yes.
She's going to turn around. It's just going to be that play of shadows there. And look at his face, all bloody. The eye that was damaged is all black.
You wonder if he can just see out of the one eye now.
I don't know. And while she's trying to run away, we see Victor on the other side of the door, locking her in there.
And
now she's going to get what's coming to her.
And what happens to her, though?
He kills her.
You think so? I mean, or does he have his way with her, or does he eat her?
Well, no.
Oops!
This is maybe one of the little weaknesses of the end of the film.
I know.
Because when he...
Well,
we'll find
there's vague parts of it, like the German Shepherd.
The German Shepherd?
The little puppy at the beginning.
Oh, well...
It's just gone.
And
then this, she's gone.
What we'll find is, remember when he was in prison in the beginning of the film, we'll find that the reason he's in prison at the end of the film is because he's being charged with Justine's death. I don't know. To me, that's one of the little weaknesses of the film because I don't know how they know
if there's no
that
evidence,
he did it.
They don't. Yeah.
Because I would imagine he would just take that body and put it in that vat of acid.
Right. Yeah.
All right. And because they never found the creature.
After the creature said, "Ugh."
They throw her in that acid. So how would they know that he killed her? But that is what he is in prison for, and that's what he's about to be executed for, is for her murder.
Murder.
That's one of the...
It all comes down to murder.
You had to have something. So the next morning...
What?
He ended up... What?
What are you saying to me? Put it off to the right.
Back it up, Mike.
Back it up, Mike. Put it up on the shelf. It's the third shelf from the top. Oh! Okay. Yeah, and then the wedding happens.
Yeah, we have to mention that Paul has left.
Have to mention
Paul has left.
Yes. He walks out on him because he's not giving out to him no more.
After the whole
and they don't talk about that much
in
this Hammer film.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
the old lush
undertones, too. Oh, yeah, this guy cracks me up.
But Paul has left.
Oh.
He's gone now, and some time has passed.
Because he thinks... everything's good now.
Right.
It's safe because the creature's dead.
Dead. Right. So no reason for him to be there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He's protected Elizabeth and she's safe. So he's okay to go.
But Elizabeth did invite him to the wedding.
Right. She mentions that at the breakfast table. And she's kind of gauging how he feels. And it seems like he's a little pissed at first. But then he's like, actually, I hope he does come. I've got something to show him. Yeah. And it's left at that. And then the wedding party.
And I like the guy who's over there just keeps taking drinks and drinks.
To the bride.
To the bride. To the
to
groom.
the bridesmaids.
Yes.
To the guy who made this punch.
Yes. And then his wife comes up and grabs him and runs off is she just not want to be there because
I think everyone's leaving and he's just sitting there dawdling, drinking
she
a bunch
seems
of
a little pissed about something.
Oh, she wants to get home and get some.
You think?
Yeah,
that
he's all loosey-goosey. And
yeah, he's going to get down that little hobbit of a guy.
Yeah, and he's if they wait too long,
they wait too long.
They're a little, Elizabeth, makes mention that she's a little sad that Paul didn't show up.
Well,
Paul didn't show up.
Paul didn't show up.
Oh, look at that. I love that dress.
Paul. Ooh, Elizabeth.
Victor says, I'm going to dash up to the
tramping
lab for
around.
a minute.
Yeah, Elizabeth's tramping around the joint.
Tramping around. Look at that. Man. I love the dress and the gloves and.
Oh, yeah. Oh no! I love that. I do. Yeah, it's very sophisticated.
When Victor runs upstairs, you see they haven't even fixed the banister yet.
Who doesn't like a corset?
I mean, who doesn't?
I know they didn't fix the banister yet. It's still open like that. So later on, they had to cut out the part where the child was up there playing.
Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. Hazel Court, man. I'm not crazy about the name Hazel, but I mean,
Hazel's good.
Hazel reminds me of that other show with the maid.
Hazel.
What was the show about?
Hazel the maid. I have no idea.
Ah, you'd know it if you saw it.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's Ted's
my
usual yawn. We can't go throughout a show without Ted yawning.
Even though I didn't have to work today, I was still up early.
Oh yeah, I mean
damn kids.
Kids will do that to you,
You gotta learn how to get themselves dressed and feed their own faces and wipe their own asses.
Yeah. You see what they do if you go that way. Let's see, Experiment.
That's how the new one's gonna be, man. You experiment do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this, man. So upstairs,
there's a lot of salt on that food.
You go.
Well, yeah, Victor's up there
he's making him some dinner, making the creature some
Meanwhile,
food.
Paul showed up.
Yes.
And Elizabeth said, "Oh, you came. Oh, I love you. Let's go make love." But he doesn't because he's still friends. And she goes, he's up in his. Told him he's still up in his.
Said he had something to show you.
And she says he's still always up in his laboratory. He doesn't show me the time of day. Can you please give me 10 minutes?
And I wonder what he's going to think, when he goes up there, because he's like, oh, I do.
I mean, what does he think he's doing? He was so intent on life. Don't you think he's at it again?
He's at it again.
But he thinks he's,
Tells him, I've been working on brain surgery.
I've been working on bugs.
Yeah,
I've been working on cockroaches now.
Check out these bugs.
You know what?
Look at my bugs.
Yeah. I mean, and Victor, and this
Somebody look. Oh God, look at this.
This is another thing, Ted. What does he think he's going to think when he shows Paul the creature? He's going to be
he's going to completely change his mind about it now.
Yeah. Oh my God. How? You mean you actually brought him back to life again and looking even more horrendous than last time?
Yeah, because he had to shave half his head.
Yeah, I'm so proud of you.
Brain.
I'm so proud of you, Victor. You've become a scientist beknownst the world.
You know what? That's that's sort of after he does this little demonstration here.
Yes.
He's like, wait, let me show you.
Oh, and even how
and and I love this. He tells the creature, creature's chained to the wall. And he's just sitting by that acid vat. Yeah. He tells him, stand up. And Christopher Lee does this great job. Stands up and he's like, come here. The creature takes 2 steps.
2 steps. Because the chain's not even long enough.
To sit down again. And which he does.
And
I'm thinking, if I was the creature, I'd be like, son bitch. I mean, I was just sitting down over there. You make me get up, take 2 steps, and sit down again?
Yeah.
God damn, I was comfortable over here.
It's like, bring me another biatch.
Yeah.
But, what?
I mean...
But, and again, what does Victor think Paul is going to think?
I don't know. Maybe that, there's some intelligence there after all that. He's not just a mindless brute. But unfortunately, because of the damage to his brain, which Victor again will bring up to him, it's your fault.
Oh no, yeah, again.
This is probably about he's like, here, is this your because Paul's is this your superior creature right here? This is
can he quote? Can he read?
Yeah, have him explain a concept of physics to me, and he's like, well, no, I have you to thank for that, don't I? So cold, man. Look at him. Look at him when he talks like that, man. You could just tell, man. Cold as ice. If Peter Cushing was talking down to you, you would feel about this big. No joke.
Yeah.
If you actually got Peter Cushing pissed enough to talk to you like that, forget it, man. I think it sounds worse when someone with a British accent is talking down to you, man. It's just, I don't know. You just feel like you did everything wrong in your whole life.
Yeah.
What the?
That's what happens when we go earlier.
So there we go, man. It's that's his superior being. That's about as intelligent as he's going to be.
Yeah.
And
he's got him pretty much
Paul
locked in a room, chained to a wall, which we'll come to find out that the chain that he's got very thick, heavy chain
going into wood
with the big thing. Well, and screwed with like an inch long screw, because when the creature actually pulls it out of the wall.
Yeah, it don't take much.
Yeah, like if an ant could have pried it off.
Yeah, I was just gonna say a Smurf could have pulled that sucker right out. Paul's finally had enough. Yeah. Says I've held, I haven't done it, but now I'm going to the.
He runs right down past Elizabeth.
Say, don't you love the banisters here? How they have the the Egyptian style obelisk.
Yeah,
those are neat, aren't they? I really like those.
That is very cool. Yep. Well, in Hammer, it really took care in their sets.
But even look out there, man. Just it all looks authentic to me.
Yes.
Like when I watch these films, maybe that's part of what lent itself. It's just. Everything looked so real, like it was really from that time. It doesn't look imitation. Look all the detail. It does. Shells on the wall, freaking bottles.
Yes.
Of some kind of fluid. Everything looks so good. And look, the lamps.
No, they did great job.
Attention to detail is what I really appreciate in these films, because it really helps you, get sucked into it, and you feel like you're really watching.
And that's why I think all these Hammer horror during this period just was so, there's nothing like it. I mean, it represents itself even to this day.
Yeah.
You can look at it. There's a
reason why people love these movies.
You can look at it and go, "That's a Hammer horror movie."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one thing. And here's the creature's going to pull that chain out of the wall.
Yeah, so
and
Victor's
look how easy he does it.
What are you going to do, Paul? What are you going to tell them?
Yeah.
And like one little tug,
and
he pulls it out. For some reason, Elizabeth has decided to take this time to go up into the lab and start looking around. She's never been up here all this time.
Because Paul said, Yeah,
he comes running downstairs past her.
And so does Victor, and that's why...
what happened up there?
Yeah, that's why she's wondering what's going on. So this time she's going to investigate.
She's so lovely. Look at her hair there, man. It's just so...
Oh, yeah, so ravishing.
Such an attractive lady.
It almost makes you sad that this couldn't be rated R.
Actually, I mean, for the time, I think it had like an X certificate or whatever.
Really?
Did you ever see the Kubrick movie Lolita?
Yes.
When they go, there's a part where...
subject matter.
They all go to the... Well, it's just a total aside. Mm-hmm. They go to a drive-in movie.
Okay.
At James Mason and Shirley Winters and the Lolita character. This is the movie they go to see at the drive-in. If you watch it, yeah.
Oh, and look at
you actually get to see a clip of it in black and white because the movie's in black and white. So you see some of Curse of Frankenstein in black and white.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, she's up there and she goes into that room where the creature was, and she don't see nothing, but the creature, it's a really cool scene where the creature's looking down through the glass.
Yeah, he's gone out. He's like on the roof of the castle. And he's looking through the glass down at her.
And he hits the glass and it falls into acid.
Right.
And she looks up and he's gone.
And screams.
But ends up walking up. Well, she don't scream, does she?
I can't recall.
No, I think they end up seeing the creature up on top.
That's what it is.
Walking around up there.
Paul and Victor are outside the house.
And Paul's like, "Oh no, the creature's on the loose, John. What are we going to do? Let it be? No, man on the run, Paul."
No, he's like, "We're gonna get the villagers for sure this time."
Yes, he runs off and gets the villagers.
And this is the thing with
Wasn't
Hammer.
a bad John and Paul. Huh?
No, it wasn't too bad. Better than I could do. Yeah, Victor's going to go up there. But this is another thing that's kind of classic with Hammer films is these little rooftop things sometimes.
Yeah.
Always on the tops of castles. There's one.
I love
it's
this.
a Dracula film. I think Dracula's risen from the grave.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a rooftop chase.
Yes.
One cool thing about Dracula's risen from the grave, every time Dracula shows up, the edges of the screen get like a reddish brown color. I don't know why they chose to do that just for that film, but every time he comes on, it gets that look there. It's kind of interesting.
Oh, Elizabeth gets shot.
Yeah, Victor grabs a pistol, like a 2-shot pistol.
Chases up to the rooftop really fast, gets the pistol.
And the creature's holding Elizabeth right in front of him, and he just takes a shot right through her shoulder.
Yeah, he's not a good shot, and he shoots her. He shoots the creature,
and
then throws the pistol at him.
Oh, gotta love that. Like, well, no more bullets, hell with this.
Yes. And picks up the little lamp.
Elizabeth had a lantern.
Yeah,
lamp.
Didn't give up much light.
There we go, man. He throws it right at the creature.
And the creature still got that belt on, like a chastity belt.
Well, it's that metal belt like Kong had when he was chained to it's chrome steel. Oh, look at him. He's on fire. But he's on fire.
And instead of falling off the roof, he makes him fall through the glass and in the vat of acid.
Oh, man, that scene gets me every time.
Thus, getting rid of
all the
creature, and now it's just a crazy story that Victor's talking and saying.
So he's being charged with, and I have to think
back
this is something
to the beginning of the film.
This is Paul.
Paul,
who has, because Paul turned him in.
John says this is Paul.
Because how else are they accusing him of murdering Justine if there's no? I gotta presume that he used the acid on the body. So my feeling is that Paul said, he killed. Because he knows Victor has to be stopped.
But no judge, jury, or nothing. Or did they go through it already?
There's your cross again.
You see that now? Now every time see this movie, you're going to notice that cross.
I never noticed it before. I'll tell you the truth, never did.
Yeah.
But that's the cool thing about watching it with somebody else. You get the little details. The turnkey shows him. It's like, hey, there's a Paul Krempe here to see you, and he gets real excited. Like he'll tell you the truth.
Yeah, you'll know now.
Yeah, he'll let you know. He'll tell you. Basically, Paul comes in there and doesn't even say a word. Paul. Like as Paul's like, tell him. It's like, tell him about what? Justine, the woman you killed, stuff like that. And then he doesn't really say anything else.
Yeah. He just stands there and looks at him, and kind of gives the look,
He's crazy.
He's crazy. He's a little nuts, off his rocker. He looks at the priest. And
look how unkempt, Dr. Frankenstein is. And
Paul Krempe looks at Peter Cushing, who looks unkempt. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I don't understand the whole where's the body, Justine. I mean,
unless his word carries some weight.
I would rather them.
And she is missing, for God's sake. No one knows where she's at.
I would rather them got him on shooting Elizabeth.
Well, that was accidental. She's not. What we see, you didn't know if she was alive or dead on the rooftop, but then we see that she's
on the rooftop.
She's in the waiting area.
But then you
gotta love it when Paul decides he's not going to help him. Look at he goes in, he gives him a good chokehold.
Oh yeah.
Victor, man, he's about to choke him out.
But doesn't mean anything because he's off.
It just makes him look crazy.
Yeah, and he's off to make love to Elizabeth.
Pretty much. Pretty soon.
They're off to have kids.
Soon as that shoulder heals.
Yeah.
You
don't know. He just tells her,
you don't have to.
Don't worry about the shoulder, honey.
That's right. Let me do my thing.
Yeah, if you get up on all threes.
And she's still concerned about him, even after... after all that, she's just...
But honey, my shoulder. Keep it in the sling, Elizabeth. Oh, sorry.
And he even says, there's nothing we can do for him. I'm so, he's too far gone.
Yeah.
And the end, the classic scene. This is what I remember so much about this film.
Before they even show it, you hear it first, too.
Yeah, you hear the click of the guillotine going up. And
the guillotine.
Guillotine and cutting off someone's head and him being led out there by a couple of the guards.
In his Jerry Seinfeld pirate shirt.
It is the puffy shirt. The puffy shirt.
He's got the puffy shirt on.
There it is, man.
And he looks up at the guillotine.
Guillotine?
Guillotine.
The guillotine.
The guillotine. And Yeah, I mean that's where the movie ends, and
out the window, and you'll see the
end
blade,
credits. The
animated blade rising up. You don't see it fall.
The animated blade.
Now, how's he going to get out of that? You need to watch the sequel, The Revenge of Frankenstein.
I need to watch the sequel, do I?
The sequel picks up exactly where this leaves off, and it's just
Ted said leave off.
So from here, after this film became such a big success, critically it wasn't the biggest success, but people loved it. People love this kind of stuff.
Well, like you said, this film brought horror back. So people were probably waiting for the next one.
And I think, just being in color as well.
Yeah.
From here, 1958, they went to Dracula, which we've done a podcast on already. Mm-hmm. And then 59, they did The Mummy. And it just took off from there. Sequels to all the films and... like I said, Hammer is...
This is...
there's a handful of it that I love.
Yeah.
I've seen most of them.
Yeah.
And so what I do now is... Since
not all of them are the best.
No. There's top tier, and then there's ones that, if it's on, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But I love the Frankenstein ones. Most of the Dracula ones. When it starts getting... The last couple get kind of silly because they take place like in... modern times, like in the 70s when they were made.
Yeah.
Don't dig those as much. But the ones that are Gothic and Victorian, I love those.
Yes.
The first original Mummy film with Christopher Lee playing the Mummy and Peter Cushing in it's fantastic. Mm. We're going to do one called The Devil Rides Out, which has Christopher Lee, and that's about satanic cults.
Yes.
And that's a neat one.
It's going to be a good one. What are we doing next week?
Well, next week's our comedy show. The next one we'll do, right. I think we said we'll do Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
There you go.
That'll
be our next Hammer in 2 weeks.
Right. The first sequel to Horror of Dracula, as it's known here in the States, was The Brides of Dracula, and we did a podcast on that. That doesn't have Christopher Lee in it, but it did have Peter Cushing in it, reprising the role of Van Helsing. Mm-hmm. The first time Christopher Lee came back to reprise Dracula was in Dracula, Prince of Darkness, which I think is 65 or 66. It had been a few years. Yeah. And this does not have Peter Cushing in it.
It's been a few years.
It's a really cool movie. It's a dark movie. It's a violent movie. Christopher Lee has no dialogue in it.
In this movie?
In the Dracula film.
Oh, okay.
As well as this one, yeah. But he has no dialogue in the Dracula film.
And in this film, Christopher Lee, actually, because they became friends, Peter Cushing. Yeah. He came up to Peter Cushing one day.
Story.
And he said, he goes, how come I don't have any lines in this film?
Bloody lines.
And Peter Cushing goes, you're the lucky one.
Yeah, he's like, consider yourself lucky. I've read the script.
Yeah, that's what he said. And I'm like,
because it's all me. Yeah, I have to memorize the whole damn thing.
Does that mean that he didn't care for it?
No, I think it just meant that it's a dialogue-heavy film, and he had a lot of lines. He's like, be thankful. I mean,
well, he's like, yeah, you could have shot one my way, but
but I mean,
couldn't have. It would have changed the dynamic of the creature. Yeah,
and he, in Dracula, Prince of Darkness, for instance, Christopher Lee was just he had been in a lot of films. He was a bigger name at that time, and he didn't care for the dialogue they gave him. The dialogue that they put in the movie, he really didn't care for. So they took it out, and it's all, just physical performance in that film. And so that'll be our next, in 2 weeks, we're going to do 4 Hammer films. It was going to be a month of Hammer, but it's going to take us a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, like I said, if we're doing this every other week, so it's bi-monthly now. So 1 week, and then our comedy show may contain nuts, all Lauren Hardy and that vast group of guys like Charlie Chaplin and all that. So, 1 way you can keep up with us is definitely subscribe on iTunes, okay? Because you will get notified and it'll automatically download at each show. Subscribe to us on YouTube because you should get notifications. If not, check back with us every now and then and see our films because we are doing the Hammer series. Also, like our pages, like on Facebook and stuff, because every time the new show goes up, I post it up there. So, like the page, The Late Late Horror Show, and you'll know. I mean, everything gets posted up there, so you can't miss out.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, you know, and SoundCloud too. I mean,
SoundCloud.
Go up there and, you know, you'll get notified every time it's, you know, audio.
Dsnuts.com.
But if you want to see the video, you know, subscribe to us on YouTube. Yes. Definitely, I'm not going to say a better, because I like listening too. I really enjoy the whole
listen to our show?
Podcast of listening and stuff like that. But if you like the visual and like to see what we're talking about and actually watch along with the film too if you want, because every time you see my finger go up towards the beginning of the show, few minutes in or so, I go boom with my finger. That means start the show. I mean, start the movie, you know, right from the very beginning.
Now the movie.
And you could watch it right along with us,
That's what I'm saying. That's the whole idea.
But,
forget those commentaries that come with your DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah,
forget those. Pop your movie in, turn us on.
Yeah, come on, man.
Turn me on.
And what the?
What? Oh yeah.
And yeah, visit everything, you know. And May Contain Nuts is going to be a great show. It's a different set, comedy driven. We're going to have fun with it, and it's going to be great stuff, man. So hopefully you guys switch over there once we start up. I may even have the link down there now. Subscribe to us if you
subscribe now.
If you're one of the fans who like this, you know, me and Ted.
Yeah.
And anything we do. Go to the link below. It says May Contain Nuts. Subscribe to that YouTube channel.
And it'll be cool because most of the shorts that we're going to talk about, they're free to watch online. You'll be able to watch along. So
and they're shorter, you know, so you can get them. You know what would be interesting? Me cutting this 2-hour show here into like 3 shows. You know, make them watch it on a Monday, catch up on a Wednesday, and end it on a Friday.
Make them wait. Leave them wanting more.
That's good. That would be like 35-minute shows each. We're getting ready to record some little music.
That's right, because we can't use copyrighted music, so I'm going to play it on my kazoo.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we're going to get out of here, and we will catch you in 2 weeks. Actually, you might get Danny Devil next week, too. But anyways, nevertheless, 2 weeks,
Dracula,
Prince of Darkness. Another hammer. And then we got, I think we're saving a couple of the last ones for, I'm digging the 2 last ones, man. Especially Vampire Lovers. Vampire Lovers is going to be the 4th movie.
Yeah, we'll do Devil Rides Out.
Then we're talking
or The Devil's Bride, it's also
talking
known
some
by.
chicks in there, man.
And then Vampire Lovers. Yeah, I gave him his choice. He wanted Vampire Lovers, so it's going to be Vampire Lovers. Ingrid Pitt.
With that said, man, Late Horror Show
out of here.
is out.